All right, if you've been following along on my home renovations, then you know that I'm in process of installing the kitchen and the kitchen sink. I am not a plumber, and every time I try to do plumbing, I understand why plumbers charge so much. But I was able to get the cabinet cut and the pipe in and everything, but then trying to replace the existing pipes, they didn't have like a matching one at Home Depot. And the dude that was working, two different dudes that were working at Home Depot, told me that this kit that they had would work. All you have to do is change the setting and adapt it. And we couldn't get it to work. I brought it back, and the second guys, I was in a rush now because I spent like 2 hours at Home Depot trying to get the plumbing stuff. But yeah, I was trying to rush and get my stuff and grab and leave, and this dude came to help, try to help. And I even brought the old piece that the dog had chewed through, to show him what I was trying to get a replacement for. And he, of course, picked up the same one that I just returned, and he said, yeah, this should work. All you have to do is put the adapter on it, and it'll work. I said, can you show me how to do that? Because I couldn't get it to work. So then he opens up the packaging, and he tries to get it together. And after 15 or 20 minutes of him trying, I was like, I gotta go. Home Depot's about to shut down. I need to leave. Dude's like, I almost got it. This is you should be able to plug this in, and it goes in this way. And he kept messing with it. After an hour of me standing there, waiting for him to make his look like mine, my broken one, he couldn't do it. He says, I don't understand why this isn't working. This is supposed to go. I said, okay, look, I'm going to grab one, and then I'll mess with it at the house. So I bought a like I did for the bathroom, that normally is a P-trap. It's expensive, like $17. But I'm like, well, it'll flex, and then I can try to make the P-trap or whatever if I can get it all to fit together. Little did I realize that the kitchen pipe was actually too large, so it wouldn't even work the way I wanted it to. But that's another story. So then I took everything home and tried to hook everything up, and found out that expensive $16 piece I bought wouldn't fit the way I wanted because the pipe's a different size. It was one side was correct, the other side was way too large. So then we're like, well, we're gonna have to patch through to the existing system, the existing pipe, and have it drain in. So we did some really weird stuff, but it works as far as water going down. Now, water coming out, that's another story. I had my wife there. You can't do plumbing by yourself, because if you try to do plumbing by yourself, and the cutoff valve isn't accessible where you are, you have to run to the house cutoff, which in this case, they had installed, the plumber that I paid to install the water tank, the hot water tank, he put in a house cutoff underneath the house, at the bottom of the house outside, and he also put one inside the house at the water heater. But the water heater one doesn't cut off for the whole house. It only cuts off, I think, for the shower and the hot water for the whole house. I don't know how it was plumbed. But the one outside cuts off for the whole house. So I had to have my wife kind of watch the water as I turned it on, after I hooked everything up. And sure enough, when I hooked everything up, water started going everywhere. I was like, oh no! So then we got it kind of where it was semi-leaking, not too bad, but it was still leaking. And I didn't buy any plumber's tape. I couldn't find any plumber's tape, and I didn't bring any plumber's tape when I bought all that stuff. So I threaded it without the plumber's tape. So just left Home Depot just now with plumber's tape. But not only that, I was like, since I'm doing all this stuff, I'm having to come make another trip. Maybe I should go ahead and try to install the cutoff valve. Even though it's just more added expense and potentially more things that can go wrong. So I went ahead and I had to ask the Home Depot dude again, this older guy, a different guy, who was supposed to be a plumber. And so he came over and, I said, look, I got this really old mobile home and here's the current setup. The pipes, the copper pipes that come up, and I'm not sure what size the pipes are, but on the other end, it's a standard fitting for a regular sink. Now what I want to do is install a cutoff valve somewhere along that copper pipe and then put flex hose for the sink. That way it's more modern and easier to work with. And he said, so what size are the pipes? And I was like, I don't know. They connect to the faucets, so I guess they're the same size. So I didn't know what he was talking about. I'm like, look, if it connects, it should be the same size. So he wasn't very good at explaining, but eventually I figured out what he was trying to tell me, which is the fitting, the connection that goes up to the faucet is the same. The pipe size is different. And he said he needed to know the pipe size to help me get the correct shutoff valve. I said, well, how do we do that? He says, you got to cut the thing and bring it in. I'm like, I got to cut the pipe? Because, cutting the pipe is one of those irreversible things. Once you cut it, it's like building a van. Decide if you want to cut a hole in the roof. Once you cut it, there's no going back. So I was like, okay, is there a way we can do it without doing that? He's like, well, you really need to cut the pipe, and then you can install, you can solder and do all this other crazy. I'm like, dude, I barely know my wrenches and screws and screwdrivers. And he says, well, there's these shark bites and this other connector you can use. I said, what would be the simplest thing for me to do? So then he picked up some valves, and he said, you just shove this thing in. I think he called it a shark bite. I think that's what he said it was. And if not a shark bite, it was something similar. But you shove it in and it kind of locks into place. And I said, well, that sounds simple enough. He says, yeah, but you got to know the size of your pipe. And I said, I don't know the size of the pipe. He says, here, take these two, and you can go see, if the other end fits, and if it all fits, then this will work, and you'll be good. Otherwise, you're going to have to cut the pipe and bring in the part that you cut off, and then we'll get you the correct size. So I was like, okay, this is getting into territory that I don't want to get into, where water is gonna all over everything. But I'm like, you know what? We've come this far. I'm gonna try it. So then I take everything, and I'm like, okay, I didn't want to cut my metal pipe because I hate plumbing, and especially when you're dealing with copper. But I'll try it. So then I started to leave the store and then realized, how am I going to cut the pipe? And I was like, maybe I'll use a jigsaw and I'll get a metal blade to cut the pipe. And on second thought, I was like, you know what? I can just imagine myself using a jigsaw and the thing's rattling everywhere and then everything snaps and water's running nonstop now. I made a bigger mess. So I decided to maybe get a hacksaw or something. Then I was like, maybe I should go ask the plumber dude. He's an older gentleman, and he probably was a plumber, and probably has a lot of experience. So I went up to him, and I said, okay, we got everything now, but how do I cut the pipe? So he says, you use one of these. And he shows me this wall. And the tools, they range in price from $18 up to $60 for a pipe cutter. So he's looking at all these. He's like, you use one of these. I'm like, $60 to cut 2 little pipes. And I looked at him and said, I only need to cut these 2 pipes. And he says, yeah, we're gonna get you a cheap one. Just this one should do. And he grabs the $18 one. And so, for those of you who don't know, they make pipe cutters. That's what this thing is. It looks like a little clamp. And what you do is on one end, it's got a circular, sharp saw on the blade. And then on the other end, it's a clamp. And you clamp it down on the pipe, you know, you just make it tight, but not like super tight. And then you spin the thing around so the blade will roll around the pipe and hopefully start to cut it. So you wrap that, or you roll that around once or so, then you tighten it a little bit more, and you roll it around again, and you tighten it a little bit more, and then you roll it around again. And he says, do this about 3 times or so, and the pipe should cut through. I was like, okay, that sounds simple enough. And then I was like, before I left, I was like, and you're sure that once I cut the pipe, I can shove this stuff in it and it won't leak, right? And he says, well, you shouldn't. Okay. So we're gonna find out. Another thing I found out is, you know, installing the cabinets for the kitchen wasn't as bad as I thought. I did have to cut the hole, but the part that was really bad was trying to install the kitchen sink. You have to cut the hole exactly the right size. And then, you know, we were trying to reuse the old sink, and it's got clips on it, but they were all rusted, and, you know, you couldn't undo them. I found out, of course, as I'm messing with it and breaking everything, that they slide. They're normally supposed to slide on there. And you got to slide them out the end or to a point where there's a little opening that it can fall out of. But, yeah, I didn't find that out till I moved a whole bunch of them, broke them. And the other half of them were rusted. And then when we tried to cut the sink, it's not just an opening. It's got like, the sink itself is kind of oval, the metal part. But then underneath, it's got a rectangular part, almost semi-rectangular. And you have to cut it so it lines up with that. And then, you know, it has to line up with the clamps that go in, which I could never get to work. So after being frustrated, we pulled out all the clamps. So we're not going to even clamp it. It's like, unless the house turns upside down, the sink shouldn't fall out. So we're just going to try to put silicone on it, you know, sealant to glue the sink down. But we haven't done that yet until we get the water leak fixed. So we had running water last night. Had cold water working even with the leak. Hot water wasn't working because hot water was totally spraying everywhere. And so last night was a little bit tough. And then it was dripping so much we had to shut the water off in the middle of the night because otherwise it would flood. You know, I had a bucket underneath catching the drip. But today we're going to tackle trying to cut the pipe, install the cutoff switches, cutoff valves, and then see if we can get it to work. And hopefully the dude grabbed the right size, you know, for the cutoff valves. If not, I have to make another trip to get the correct one. So I'll keep you guys posted. I want to thank you all for joining me. I'll show you an update soon. The kitchen looks like a normal kitchen almost. So I'll leave it as a surprise. I'll show you, you know, on the next update. I want to thank you and let you know what's currently going on. Right now, I'm waterless. Not until I can get the water running. Because the cutoff situation, you know, when you cut it off, when you cut it off, it's for the whole house. So, then when you turn it on, it drips. And you don't have hot water, because the hot water's not on. So, have a great day, everybody. Take care and wish me luck.